it that allowed you to get back into the game but not quite have enough to get over the line in the end?
Well, we went back to how we'd started to plan the game. We didn't change anything radically at half time because we hadn't really brought enough energy into the game that would allow us to activate any of our systems or our structures really. If you have a look at the time in our forward half, Sydney's possession gains were fantastic. Their pressure to retain the ball in their front half. So we showed the players some clips, mate, and we're really clear with what we needed. And look, pleasantly we got a response, which it's been our journey in the second half of the year. That's the way that we've played. So we were really disappointed that we didn't actually put a best foot forward, and then to chase them down to within 4 points, after sort of the first 10 minutes was a really good sign. We just couldn't then, stem that flow, and good teams just keep coming at you. So yeah, it was a good response, but it was a pretty poor effort in the first half.
And after
what were those clips?
Improvement. Carry on.
Sorry, mate. You go, Martin.
I was just going to say that after the improvement that you saw from showing the clips, and in the end it was a 14-point margin against one of the informed teams in the competition. But are you at the stage now, especially after the past few months and the progress that it's been made, that this is a dissatisfying, honourable loss?
Yeah,
something that's no longer acceptable?
Yeah, mate, I've been clear for probably, since round one. I don't want to lose. I'm not coaching to lose. I'm coaching to win. So yeah, every game that we lose, I'm not happy. There's learnings out of it, and there's an understanding of we've got to make sure that our players are really crystal clear on what we need to how to go about it. Specifically today, yeah, look, it's disappointing to get that close and then not be able to continue to maintain the pressure and the level of intensity that we need to. But there's some understandings around why that occurs. Good teams respond. They're able to get their hands on the ball and retain it and score. And there's some poor areas of our game, in the latter part of that last quarter that we've got to address. I think your question's really valid, mate. That we've got to a point now that they're not. We do not consider that as an honourable loss. We are not in the business of doing that, and I hope our fans clearly understand that that's certainly not acceptable.
What were those clips that you showed, David, to spark that second half fight back?
They're around contest, Dan. They were regards to more of our systems and how we wanted to set up to restrict Sydney's flow around contest, both general play contest and stoppages. There were some efforts that we didn't think were acceptable across the board, both mids, forwards and backs. So, and that's probably in regards to how you want to activate your defence. So they were probably the two clear messages that we thought that the players needed to see. I mean, we didn't rant and rave by any stretch of the imagination. You've got to plan your way through. You've got to make sure the players are clear. And I thought those two areas particularly, we fell away and contested ball in the last quarter, but the ability for us to get our structure right from a defensive perspective to start with, and then we're actually able to activate and reboot our offence from there, was really pleasing in the second half. And, look, 11 of our 12 goals came from our young group, our under-22s. They were terrific tonight. For us to get that level of capacity of scoreboard pressure from that group is extremely exciting.
Speaking of those under-22 group, Eddie Ford was really impressive tonight. How do you see his game, in particular his final quarter?
Oh, look, really good, mate. He's now reading the game really well. It's hard as a young guy to come in because we require them to play such a systematic-based structure at times, and I think with those young guys and Charlie Comben, you've got to give them a little bit of licence to just explore and experiment with finding their feet within that system. So, the last sort of couple of weeks, Eddie's done some really nice things, and then there's some things you go, well, we're not, it's probably not the way or the role that he needs to execute. But tonight, he did extremely well. He presented really well. We liked that little tick-up lead, through our mid-forward area. He did that really well. And, yeah, look, he was able to get on the scoreboard, so really encouraged.
David, you were pretty keen a few weeks back when asked about the wooden spoon as to being really keen to avoid it.
Yep.
How disappointed are you, I suppose, then to to get it, but then also not take it to the final round where you could have been playing, to avoid it.
Well, that's for you guys to run that narrative. I've got no interest, Andrew, in talking about the wooden spoon. It's what it is. We're working on continuing to improve. That's where we sit, which is not ideal. We've certainly been chasing really hard to improve and get up the ladder. So that's been our focus. We certainly haven't had any internal discussions around that. So, we'll just continue to move on, mate, and we play Adelaide next week.
Aiden Bonner, David, we saw come off late there. How's he, and just any other injury concerns?
He's good, Anna. He had his concussion test, so he's all clear. We weren't able to activate the sub in the last 4 or 5 minutes because there's a 15-minute period that we have to go through with a concussion. So, but he's had his test post-game. He's all clear. Jack Zeeble came off. He had a little bit of a sore calf in the back end, so we've been managing him through that and did a pretty good job to get through to nearly the end of the game. Apart from that, I don't think there's nothing that really comes to mind at this point.
Luke McDonald, all right, after that needle early on?
Who was that, Luke McDonald?
Yeah, came off.
Yeah, no, he's fine. We shifted him around a little bit in the second half, but no worries from his side of things.
Charlie Comben hasn't had much luck since he arrived at the club, but he seemed pretty quick to get him in after a couple of runs with the VFL. How did you see his first game in the big league? Pretty good, Martin. We really liked he's got a natural movement up at the ball. He sort of he's a bit like Eddie. You can rely on him presenting at the ball, and he reads it. He is keen to come and compete. He loves jumping into the packs. We're a bit worried he might have been able to take a couple of our guys out at one stage, but he really engages in that movement. He's been working hard behind the scenes, I think, for a long period now. It's not just been his recent few weeks in the VFL. He's had a pretty solid couple of months' worth of work under his belt. So when we thought the time was right and his form was in a good spot, it allowed us to sort of move him into the team to get him that exposure. So, but yeah, look, I was pleased. he got on the scoreboard at the end. He's a beautiful kick for goal. He's a natural competitor, and he moves up at the ball really well. So, I think our fans can look forward to Charlie playing a lot of football up in that forward end for our club for a long period of time. And with Charlie's injuries and the list where it is, you've often had to rely on a ruckman such as Tristan Cherry or Tom Campbell to play that second tall forward role. Now that Charlie's up and running, I know there's only one more game to go, but is that the sort of look that you would prefer to have down in the forward line with the two tall, definitive tall forwards? I
think so, mate. We sort of made a bit of a switch up tonight in putting Josh in because we wanted to sort of leave the twin towers up forward, and we didn't really want to expose Charlie into the ruck just yet. So we like the fact with Zerha, Ford, Comben and Larkey, up forward, they've got some versatility. They've got some real competitiveness about them. We think there's a pretty good level of pressure as well with that group. And so with leaving that crew, as much as we could together tonight, we needed to sort of move Josh into the ruck, which seemed to work okay. But yeah, that look is, I think, where we'd be going. Both Tristan and Tom have played that ruck role and also been the forward, the other bigger forward down there. So Charlie's just a different body shape from that side of things. But yeah, that's the look I think that we like, mate.
Just moving away from the game, David, Ben Cunnington posted a positive update on his tumour removal in the past couple of days. It must have been a massive relief for the club. And when do you expect him to be back training and playing? Do you think it will be in the early stages of next year?
Yeah, it's a good shout out, Dan. We were greatly relieved for Ben and Belinda and the kids and their extended family, that they got some really good news. So he'll still need to be vigilant going forward, no doubt. Time frames, he should be in a position, mate, that when we get back to pre-season, through whenever that date is, we're not sure yet. November, December, January, we're not sure. But we think he'll be in a position where he will have recovered from the surgery at that point in time. So, yeah, we think at this stage, fingers crossed, that he'll be. Now we might need to go a little bit slower with him as he returns, but I think all things are pointing towards him coming back to start pre-season in full capacity.
Have you spoken to him since the operation, and if so, how's he tracking?
He's really good. Yeah, he's been down to the club a few times. He's come out on main training sessions and given us a bit of a hand for some coaching and a bit of mentoring. So yeah, he's in a terrific headspace from that side of things. So yeah, he's going well. And look, our thoughts are with Sam Doherty at the moment as well. So all our thoughts and best wishes are out there for him at this point in time as well.